One, two, one, two. 1, 2, 1, 2. You guys can hear me okay? 1, 2, 1, 2. Let me get some music going on here. Turn this down. Yeah. All right, take back our land. Okay, there's a reason why I named this Take Back Our Land. And there's a few things that have come to mind. Now, one of them is I was watching a live today, and shout out to Rashida Strover, who's in St. Petersburg, and they are doing a protest about a stadium that was pretty much built on land that Black people own. Now, we've all heard this story over and over of pretty much, eminent domain. And, they did it in New York in Seneca Village, where they moved out 75% of, it was a whole neighborhood that was filled up with 75% of Black people and 25% of actually white people who were Irish, I believe. But nonetheless, they were all either immigrants or slaves at one point, and this was right there in Central Park. So they were creating a thriving atmosphere and unity within their community. And the people in New York just came and said, no, we're not having this, get rid of it. So we've seen this over and over and over again, where you have a thriving Black community and they're really, they're on their own or operating on their own. They have their own banks. They have their own, they're growing their own food. They're pretty much self-sustained. And then the government just comes along and said, no, this is our land. Well, that's not how America, or the ideal of America, is supposed to be. It's something like this. If you find, okay, so if there is paraphernalia, so-called illegal paraphernalia on your property, it's your property. But if you find oil on your property, then it's the government's property. So, it's very tricky how they decide to take claim of whatever, it is on a property that's found. If it's bad, it's your fault. If it's good, if it's bad, that's on you. If it's good, we're taking it. And that's just the way it is. It's just bullying is what it is. So has nothing to do with fair or the American so-called way and all this bull crap about freedom. You're not free in America. You're not. You're not free, not whatsoever. And a lot of people are finding that out, especially now. So I just wanted to, I can't go to Florida and protest this. It's almost like you had to, I'm going to say you had to be from there, but it just helped if you were from there. I'm glad to see that there's white people who also agree with this. And during pretty much almost every protest that Black people had, legitimate protests, you will find that white people agree. You know what I'm saying? There are white people who marched with King because they were just like, this is ridiculous. Okay. So, yeah. But now, of course, I like to use myself as an example whenever I'm talking about most things. Now, here where I live at, you're finding a lot of, I forgot what the word is, where they're moving, a certain type of people out of the neighborhood, and they're pretty much taking it over. That's happening right here, right now. Now, voice cracked. Now, in the area that I used to live in, it was a mixed neighborhood, but there were a lot of Black people that lived there, and there was a lot of stuff that was going on there. I'm not gonna lie, it just was. And about 2 blocks up from where I lived, there was another black neighborhood that was there. And what they did was they divided that neighborhood by building a highway through it. They just built a highway right through it and said, boom. So they divided that whole neighborhood up. Also, what they did was they they tore down all the old projects, put up new housing and stuff like that, which is cool with me. I'm all for that. They did help some people get into those places, but of course, when you build something, a newly built whatever it is, it costs money. So there's a certain economic group of people that can no longer live in those areas, and that's what happened. They started pushing those people out, and that push is still happening today. Even myself, now this is close to the city. Even myself, the place I used to live in was a little 1 bedroom, yada, yada, yada. It was already owned by a white guy, not a big deal. But then these other white guys bought the building and pretty much raised the rent as soon as the rent doubled. The next day, I was able to pay it, but they still kicked me out because they were, I'm just going to say it, there were some homosexuals, and I'm not a homosexual. And they didn't like me because I was black. So because I was black and not a homosexual, I was definitely not what they wanted around. But, so there was a lot of racism going on there. It was just a lot. So there that was. So they kicked me out of there. I live, here now. And that's fine because this place is twice as big as the other one. And I pay the same rent. Well, I was paying the same rent. The rent is going up here, but nonetheless. So what they did was they pushed a lot of low economic people out of those neighborhoods, and they're still doing them. And this is going on all over the city where I live. You're finding that it's easy to buy a house. It's very easy to buy a house now. Even in the low economic areas, they're, that white people are in, because we have a whole hood on the west side of town. Those people are leaving, they're being displaced. They have to go somewhere else too. We know the majority of poor people in America are white people because there's 245 million of them and there's only 40 million of us. And we're not the only two races that live here. All right, so let's just get that out the way. But nonetheless, there is still a lot of displaced African American people, and they're being pushed further and further out of the city. And if you know anything about any city, the majority of jobs are in the city, and now you have people who don't have automobiles and stuff like that. They have to transport into the city now. They tried to build a train station here. Not sure if that even happened or not because I don't ride the public system unless I have to, and I will because, it is what it is. But nonetheless, the further you go out of the city, the less available the public system is to you, and that is the biggest problem. So you're having a lot of people who can't afford to live in the inner city because a lot of those areas where, the hoods that I knew, a lot of those areas are just being taken over and wiped out. I mean, I could go to some of these areas just 2 years ago. I mean, they've got a major facelift. There's been a whole hospital system put down where there used to be an African American school. They said, listen, we'll build you guys a new school if you give us that land. So, boom, they made an agreement. They built them a new school in another hood that I used to live in. They tore down the whole projects in that hood, made all of those people leave out of there, and then cut down all the trees, and then, built a whole school and a brand new track onto that. So that's where they're at. So there's a lot of displacing going on right now here. Now, some people will say, well, that's the way it is. That's the way cities go, yada, yada, yada. But of course, you have a lot of people who are not able to find work as easy as they used to. And also, you're finding a lot more people who are homeless. That's the biggest problem. So as the rent goes up, the people aren't finding enough jobs. So their economic availability, or however you say that, wherewithal, whatever, is going down. Boom, 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 equals homelessness. Just like that, you're finding a lot more people who are in trouble, and some people are passing away because of the weather. So when the weather is extreme, you have people who either die of heat or people who die of cold. And last year or this year, that actually happened to somebody. I didn't know him personally, but I saw him a lot. So he is no longer with us because he was found frozen. And it's just so sad to hear that. He was a jovial guy. I didn't even know he was homeless. I just saw him at all the street events, and boom. So I'm not even sure what there can be done about that because of the way policing is going and the way, so the reason why I mentioned policing because there is a lot of fear of the police now. There is a lot of trauma that is happening to Black people, especially here where I live, where it's a matter of do I even want to bother because I could be next. Do I want to go into the city? And you find a lot of people who are trying to find a safe place to go where they think that they can drive at night, come home from work, or walk home from work at night and not be, end up seeing their maker early just because they were walking down the street. You do have people who are on edge about that, and, you would think that, all these new developments that things are getting better. Well, where you have new developments that you also have a lot more police officers because they're protecting those new developments because they protect corporate interests. Well, when you got those, people there, they think that they're better than you. And, they look at you and will say, oh, you're a Black person. Yeah, what are you doing here? We don't recognize you. Call the police. Well, calling the police will get you dead. Just because it will. It's not that you were doing anything wrong. You were just there because you thought, hey, it's a new development. I've been running up and down these streets. I've been walking up and down these streets. I've been shopping here. Now I'm getting killed for shopping in the same places that I've been. You're older than these people. Your family's been here longer than these people. But as soon as they move into your hood, you would think it's the other way around. When the Black people move in, there goes, oh no, it's flipped now. It's when the white people move into the hood, you already know what's coming. You already know somebody's going to call the police on somebody just because they're like, we've never seen you here before. Well, you just moved here. We've been living here. Call the police. Next thing you know, bang, you're dead. So, yeah, that's what's going on in this city. It's a growing city, but like I said, there's just a lot of fear that is happening here. And for those of you who would question what I'm talking about, you need to look up the deadliest city in America when it comes to police brutality. You're going to find out that it is Columbus, Ohio. So, dispense with all your stupidity remarks and stuff like that because it goes down here. It really, really does. And, so take back our land or give us back our land. Once again, shout out to Rashida Strober and the Ahura movement. And it sounds like they're going to need some lawyers. So if any of you guys know some good attorneys, who wants to do some pro bono work, go ahead and look up Rashida Strober, get in contact with her. Also, she has a Cash App, so you guys can donate. I forgot what it is, Rashida Strober Lala or Lala Rashida Strober. I forgot what it is, but check her out. And yeah, so boom, boom. You guys stay safe out there because it's just going crazy out there, and we don't know where it's going next. It's your boy Tone 202. Peace, love, and hair grease. I'm out.